Throughout naval history, certain vessels have emerged as pioneers, pushing the boundaries of design and innovation. One such vessel was the experimental light cruiser Yūbari, commissioned by the Imperial Japanese Navy in the early 1920s. Today, we delve into the story of Yūbari, its impact on naval architecture, and its significant role in key historical events. Yūbari was born out of the ambitious endeavour to test new concepts aimed at reducing hull weight while enhancing strength. Authorised under the revised 1917 8-4 fleet program, construction began in October of 1921, showcasing the innovative design proposal of naval architect Captain Yuzuru Hiraga. Hiraga's groundbreaking approach involved incorporating the ship's armour plates as integral structural components, a departure from traditional plating. This design not only reduced weight, but also set the stage for future Japanese warship innovations. Completed in 1923, Yūbari became a flagship for destroyer squadrons and played a crucial role in various peacetime operations. However, much of its career saw periods of reserve duty and training exercises, reflecting its experimental nature. Yūbari ventured into international conflicts, participating in the First Shanghai Incident in 1932 and the Second Sino-Japanese War in 1937, before the outbreak of World War II. Its most notable engagement was the Battle of Wake Island. As World War II unfolded, Yūbari assumed a pivotal role, serving as the flagship for destroyer squadrons and supporting the invasion of Rabaul. The cruiser played a key role in the Battle of Savo Island, where it inflicted damage on American heavy cruisers. Yūbari continued its wartime service, escorting forces during the Solomon Islands campaign and participating in the Battle of New Georgia. However, its journey was not without challenges, as it struck a mine and required extensive repairs in Japan. Yūbari was sighted on the 27th of April 1944 off Palau by an American submarine, Bluegill, on her first war patrol after repair. Bluegill fired 6 torpedoes, of which Yūbari managed to evade 5. One hit and flood both fire rooms at 10:04. Yūbari sank almost 24 hours later, with the loss of 19 crewmen. She was stricken from the Navy list on the 10th of June 1944. Yūbari's design and specifications were pioneering for its time. Its unique construction to incorporate armour plates as structural elements, a departure from conventional naval design. However, despite its intended speed and range, Yūbari faced challenges in meeting those performance targets. Powered by a propulsion system derived from a Mechanicus-class destroyer, Yūbari's turbines and boilers aimed for a top speed of 35.5 knots. Yet during sea trials, it achieved a slightly lower speed, highlighting the impact of design compromises. Armed with a main battery of 6 14cm guns and torpedoes, Yūbari showcased a forward-thinking approach to its weaponry. Its anti-aircraft defenses and mine-laying capabilities added to its versatility on the high seas. More than just a ship, she was a symbol of naval ingenuity. Captain Yuzuru Hiraga's bold ideas didn't just steer Yūbari. These design innovations influenced the very blueprint of heavy cruisers going forward. In the heat of conflict, she showcased resilience and adaptability. She left her mark from Wake to the Solomon Islands. So as Yūbari fades into the depths, let's remember the sailors, engineers, and the lessons that she leaves behind. While this ship is beautiful and has a storied and unique history, in War Thunder, her role as a scout cruiser or a protected cruiser becomes really apparent. She is nothing more than a heavily armoured destroyer, with all of the weaknesses of Japanese ships and no real benefits. She does not have the long lance, she does not have the more modern World War II guns that benefit from high velocity and terrible traverse rates. Your biggest asset are your anti-aircraft guns, and that's about it. While she is one of the only ships to have semi-armor piercing shells in the Japanese line, she's less than impressive compared to the other 4.3s. That's not to say she's useless. I'm just not a fan of Japanese light cruisers, and I don't really feel like they fit into the meta very well. Having played the Japanese heavy cruisers pretty extensively, I can see how she influenced their design. She's fast, she handles well. She's got all the weaknesses that the heavy cruisers has, but none of the benefits, like the big shells. Taking some shots at this PT boat. This Soviet torpedo boat. Project 123. A11 by the look of it. Sitting up on the foils a bit more on the bow. Yep, that's the A11. Right, so you basically play her like a Japanese destroyer that's a little bit stronger. You've got more crew, you've got lots of AA. We are playing at 5.0, so we're very outgunned. And we just have to pick our targets and try and stay away from the enemy where we can. That stern gun is going to take an eternity to turn around. So we're going to turn towards our target to try and bring the turret around faster. Even with all the modules researched, the turret traverse is glacial at best. So you will not react quickly unless you throw your ship to get your guns around. You do have semi-armor piercing rounds, which are fairly decent, but they don't have the same velocity that the Japanese guns in the later destroyers are known for. So at long range, you're a bit more floaty, and you know, they're not great. I'll pop this Moffat eventually, but it's taking longer than I would like. Also, with the turret sitting up so high, your ship is prone to affect your gunnery when you're handling. So when I take this hard port turn, there is a lot of degrees of list when we turn, and that affects the gun somewhat. Now this ship is in a later war refit, so it has more AA. It is missing one of its stern guns. It's got more AA as a result. The foregun is a smaller caliber, and there are 4 140mm guns all around. This serviceable. I don't like my chances against a Blagorodny or a Spokojny. Not sure which one it is just yet. Judging by the X-ray, I think it's just the standard one. Tech tree one. And we're trying to keep our angle as strong as possible because we're only really armored against 4-inch guns with 1 inch of armor decking. So you do really well against the reserve tier destroyers, as most ships do. But it does struggle against the American destroyers in a direct gunfight. You want to play it like a Japanese destroyer, which means you're not really a gun brawler. But you also don't have the greatest torpedoes. They're serviceable, but they're just not as good as the Long Lance. I believe they're the Type 8 torpedoes. Now this guy's not focused on us anymore. I think he gave up. He wasn't getting any meaningful hits. He's firing rockets. That means he's got RBU 2500s on, and that is a Blagorodny. Trying to get nice and low into the engine room. We're running away from him, as I find a lot of players struggle to shoot at targets that they are running away from, that they're increasing distance between. Finish off this Leningrad. And you just don't have the damage output. You definitely have more survivability, but if someone really chooses to focus you down, you're going to die pretty quickly. You present a very large target, but you're fairly safe from aircraft and PT boats that come into close range, because the Japanese AA, while not fantastic, it is death by 1,000 cuts. You always have AA running because the magazines like to change in between each other, and they become better as they get more, like on the Congo class. This guy's launching rockets. He's used a reload, or what do you call it, a backup. This Moffat has focused us. Porter class in the background. The Soviet destroyer is now turning hard port. He's noticed us. He's trying to line up those rockets. He's within range. Wouldn't that be nice to get splattered by rockets as a final hurrah? But the Porter is doing way more damage. Yep, we got splattered. So that's a typical game at 5.0. We did okay. Not fantastically. We came second, but we got stomped. Our team got stomped. Let's add a booster because I'm trying to finish off the Japanese line. There's been a few new ships. And let's see. This will be interesting. This means it's probably a low tier battle. 4.0, 4.3, maybe reserve tier if we're lucky. Yūbari has entered the field. Alright, judging by the allies there, we are at reserve tier. Or 4.0. Something like that. Something not very, very dangerous. So this will really highlight the strength of the Yūbari. We try and stay behind our destroyers. We want to lead the destroyers. We want to support the destroyers. And we want them to do the fighting and the torpedoing. And when we need to, we then act as the tank to try and draw some of those light caliber destroyer fights. We are well armored against 3-inch and sometimes against 4-inch shells. So we will choose our opposing Yūbari and we'll put some damage out to him and nullify his threat to the field. When you do land hits with the slow guns, and I mean slow only in the context of against American destroyers, they are still faster than some other nations. I'm looking at you, Italy. You just don't have the shell weight to really compete at 4.3. So we will send out a spread of torpedoes. There's currently a bug that lets you launch every torpedo you have. So we will try and make a long lance spread of not long lances. But all those ships are within our range. And if anything, we can hit someone respawning. Now the ships are all making a beeline to Bravo by the look of it. So we will try and finish off Yūbari. He's got a decent fire going and we've only taken a small amount of damage. Only some glancing hits, not much crew damage. But we're running full ahead of him now. We're going to try and cut ahead of this formation. Try and cut them off as they head to Bravo. The enemy team has quite a significant coastal presence, or they're really pushing the caps. We have no coastal players left, or no one spawned. I didn't really pay attention. This map is a literal death bowl for coastal vessels because everyone just chooses to spawn at Charlie. And they all fight to the death in their PGO2s and other meta vehicles, and then they're gone. And whoever's left generally cleans up the 2 capture zones. This is a really fun mission for torpedo boats. If you can ignore all the death bowl and head out towards the destroyers and get a good spread of decent torpedoes out, you can often get quite a few kills. Or you wait as the enemy fleet approaches into the inlet, into the harbour, and you jump on them from behind ships. We're slowly whittling away our opposing Japanese cruiser. He's either not fighting us or his gunnery is ineffective. He's crossing behind an enemy, trying not to reacquire a different target. I'm gonna let him burn out a bit. There's pretty good damage. We'll try and focus on this guy heading into Charlie now. He's already captured the zone. I should have focused him first. But my torpedoes may even hit Yūbari in the background. Have a swig in between salvos. Hope everyone had a fantastic holiday season. We had a crazy storm on Christmas night. And a lot of the suburbs in my town are currently out of power. Fortunately, my suburb was unaffected. Apart from some trees knocked down. And so, like, yeah, it's just... At this BR, I want fast-firing guns. This is just a personal preference. There may be players out there that enjoy the slower-paced combat of this cruiser. But I find that a lot of players are either too scared to engage you because you're a cruiser, and they don't realize how really fragile this ship can be. It has the typical thin armor of Japanese turrets, the slow traverse rate, so they're easy to jump on. I've taken down Leopard. Take shots at this Japanese destroyer. He's not moving. Presents himself a nice target. Fairly easy to gun in at full speed. 10 degrees of lead should be enough. Ideally, we want to hit one of those torpedo bays. And while their shells are semi-armor piercing, I do find them to be pretty lackluster. We've got more units pushing into Bravo. We don't really want the big guys in there. We were too slow to cut through the center of their formation. So let's head towards Alpha. We'll still go with the plan to cut this fleet in half. And hope that our team can consolidate the Bravo point by themselves if we whittle away their reinforcements. The AA, the early warning system, had the World War II radar. There's a PT-15, I think that is. Very dangerous torpedoes. We try and help our friendly destroyer down. But that's a highly dangerous PT boat in close range due to the speed of its torpedoes. Reaction time is very, very small. And while you're fast, you're not quite fast enough to compete with the fast-running destroyers for capture zones. And it's not great at long-range gunnery. So you've got this funny little thing where you've got to try and keep medium-range engagements to maximize your armor. And try and get some meaningful hits. I mean, if I played this vehicle for a week or more, I'm sure I would find out the perfect way to play it. But if I was going to choose a 4.3, I would rather sail Yudachi or Hatsuharu or any of the other 4.3 destroyers. Or the Japanese Fletcher, Yuguri. And so in terms of when you want to buy a premium, this boat, or this ship, is not appealing compared to its counterparts. If this boat was at 3.7 is a bit low. If it was at 4.0, I think it would do well. In appeal. I mean, the whole point of this ship was to try and improve on the Sendai. So by lowering the hull weight, they were able to increase the armor weight of the ship while maintaining the same performance that the Sendai had, or even better armament. But in terms of Warthunder's meta, that is also a terrible ship, so being an improved Sendai class is not exactly a great resume. I am a huge fan of the Japanese Navy ships, but when we're talking about raw gameplay... Oh wait, we're at 4.3. There's an SKR. We're going to get picked on. We're going to get pecked to death. So we'll just ignore him and fight this Japanese destroyer. And once I get a better range on that guy, we will shoot him in the back turret and hope to explode him. He's turning towards us. Hopefully he doesn't have rockets. And if he does have rockets, I hope he doesn't know how to use them, because we are quite a juicy target at 2 kilometers. Ironically, the splash guard on the B turret looks like it's blocking all of his shots, and he's not actually hitting the turret. So that might be one case where sitting... Oh, here come the rockets. Might be one case where sitting higher off the water might be a benefit against low freeboard ships. Solid hit there. Get a few more of those in there, we should be able to destroy him. Those rockets weren't any good. He's fired more. This is dangerous. We are running backwards, but we're going to go forwards now. The rockets are shooting over us. The new rocket sound effects are amazing. He hasn't figured out how to shoot my armor. If he just hit the turrets, they would pop. Well, perhaps the SKR, he's just using standard HE and can't get through the minimal armor of the Japanese turrets. That might be one of the few cases where the Japanese turret armor works. But if you're fighting ship class to ship class, that is not enough armor to fight another light cruiser. It really shouldn't be surprising that a frigate can't get through a light cruiser's armor. But those ships just have such a reputation for being able to kill everything. And there we go, another loss. Well done. Well guys, that is the Yūbari. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let's have a look at the rewards. Not too bad, we got lots of assists, no kills, and a bunch of silver lions.